One, two, three. Harold and Brad, Windy City Filmmakers. Harold and Brad, Windy City Filmmakers. Harold and Brad. Da, 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 da.
Three, two, one. What's going on, y'all? Brad Stevens here for another edition of the Harold and Brad Windy City Filmmakers podcast. HD, what's going on, brother?
What's up, B? What's up? You can call me H.
What's up? We have a very special guest in the house. The super talented Celeste Cooper's in the house. What's up?
Hey, y'all. Thanks for having me.
Oh, thanks for joining us. We greatly appreciate it. So the first question we always ask people, it's a two-parter, and it's
right.
what's your connection to Chicago, and what kind of art do you create?
Gotcha. Okay. Connection to Chicago. I'm actually was born in Joliet, Illinois, outside of Chicago. But I have a lot of family born and raised in Chicago. So I spent a lot of time in Chicago growing up.
Nice.
And in terms of my connection to, what'd you say, the art? Or
Yeah, what kind of art do you create? Yeah.
I create, and when it comes to creating my own work, I'm going to create work that feeds the soul. I'm going to create something that is all about empowering, about speaking to self-care, about talking about loving yourself, talking about loving each other, just something that's bigger than myself that I can share with the world.
Nice. That's what's up. I love it. Yeah.
Was there an actor or film or performance that inspired you to become an actor?
Yeah. That's so interesting. So I secretly always loved this business, but I was raised in sports, and so it didn't seem to fit. It was kind of one of those things where in high school you made fun of those people that were doing all the funny faces and all that kind of stuff. So I was a part of that group and running track and making fun of those people, but it secretly wanted to be them. So I think even just seeing certain students, I went to Homewood Flossmoor High School, seeing some students actually were inspiring because I was like, they're really good and they don't act like that when they're like in class. So that was something. But then also I would have to say my brother, Steve Hall actually took me to see The Lion King, and then later took me to see Steppenwolf's production of The Bluest Eye, and seeing Alana Arenas.
I saw that.
Yes, that entire cast, and also just seeing a cast of Black people on top of The Lion King, and seeing. So I was like, whoa, wait, okay.
Right.
So wait, there's like the whole show can be people that look like me, like for real. So that just started exciting me and just making me want to be a part of this business, as well as just always liking certain performers. You know what I mean? There were certain people, celebrity-wise, that I always was so excited to see their work. You know what I mean? A lot of male actors, actually, like Denzel Washington and Robert De Niro, Robert Williams. I was like a little all over the place. Al Pacino, a lot of men that I kind of gravitated towards, on top of like Felicia Rashad, Angela Bassett,
Right.
people like that. So a little Jada Pinkett up, I got a little bit.
No doubt. It's a trip. It's a trip. You mentioned The Bluest Eye. I was understudying that, right? And the late Salty, rest in peace, was in it. And I was understudying Salty in a couple roles. So Salty would always get to the theater kind of late. And so I was still trying to get off book. And you're like, are you ready to go on? I said, no, I'm not ready to go. I'm still trying to get off book. So when Salty would roll up the first couple ways, I said, man, dude, what are you doing, man?
Right. Oh my gosh. Yeah. And I actually, when I saw that show in 2005, I was graduating high school. Actually, I ended up doing it. I got the rights and everything and ended up doing it as my senior project in Nashville. I went to Tennessee State University, HBCU.
Nice.
That was my senior thesis. And I directed, starred in and produced. I was like, why would I do all the things? But whatever, I was young. And, it all worked out. But, I will never wear that many hats at the same exact time. You know what I mean? But how do you direct yourself? Like, really?
So you started in college then?
You said I started my last year in high school. I ditched track practice and I auditioned for a play.
That's up, yeah. So
that's interesting.
So you went to Tennessee State too?
I went to Tennessee State for undergrad. Yeah. Oh, you went to Tennessee State?
I went to FAMU. I went to Florida A&M.
That's where my brother went. So I actually was.
Wait. Are you Steve Hall's sister?
I am Steve Hall's little sister.
Get out of here.
Steve Hall that took me to see The Lion King and
No. Wait, yeah. Steve, wait, that's my boy. Steve Hall went to Whitney Young?
Uh-huh, yeah.
Get out, I did not know this, Celeste. I had no idea.
Wow. Yeah, that is my big brother.
that's my boy. That's a trip. Yeah, I went to FAMU.
You put us next to each other. You can kind of see it.
I do. I can see.
Yeah.
It's a trip. We just talked to Tracy Bonner.
I feel the same way, Brad.
Right.
I tell people all the time, I rarely talk about my DePaul experience. I always go back to my HBCU experience.
Oh, no question.
But yeah, I had the same similar, because she also was a sports person and I was a sports person. So yeah, I have a lot of similarities to Tracy.
No doubt. You know what's tripped out? Like along those lines, I ran track in high school and at FAMU.
Oh, okay.
And one thing I see, the correlation between sports and acting and the arts is that the discipline. You know what I'm saying? That even though like the going to track practice to me was like going to rehearsal. Yeah. And sometimes like when I say like intermission, I still call it halftime sometimes, right?
Yeah.
So what do you see like the connection between sports and art? You see any connection too?
Oh yeah. That the mind over matter thing stuck with me. Because there's certain things that we can do as actors, physical or just emotional, like certain things you just don't really want to do because it takes a lot out of you. And I would feel the same way in track or something. You know what I mean? Like I don't necessarily want to like keep going, but I'm like, it's only a little bit more. It's only a little bit more. You know what I mean? So that kind of mentality actually helped a lot. And then there's also that there's a drive that I think athletes have. Like if you're an, and I was someone that I wasn't passionate about, a lot of the sports that I played. So I only went as far as I could. But at the same time, if I wanted to be really, really good at it, I would. You know what I mean? Like it was like a choice that I would make and just be like, oh man, she's shooting all these baskets and stealing everything. But then it'd be like, I don't feel like it. And then I just stopped feeling. So like that type of drive though, when I was passionate about winning and wanting to do the thing, that kind of went into the business because the hustle that I have, especially when I started because I was younger, it really like helps a lot in terms of just getting started with this business that is difficult, as y'all know.
Right. Get out and do sports, maybe a hoop every once in a while or anything like that?
I just was thinking about how I need to get a basketball. Because the pandemic, like we got time, but I live in Bronzeville and I was over by one of the parks over here and they took all the rims.
All the rims down over here. Yep.
They don't want me, so I'm like, but what about the people that ain't trying to get into nothing? I just want to shoot a little bit. Like I just want to but I just feel like I need something, something sports wise to take my mind off whatever, you know what I mean, will be helpful. So yeah.
Yeah, that's my getaway passion is to go out to the park over there on 43rd in the lake and 200 free throws in within an hour.
200, my goodness.
Yeah, 200. Once I hit 100, I was like, let's go for 200.
No, because I did it like my sister's, her husband, they have a little basketball rim and I was over there like a couple months ago. And I just hadn't shot in so long. And it was so cool because I was playing with my nieces and nephews. And they just kept going in. And I was like,
right.
oh my God, like I haven't done this in so long. And my nephew's pride was hurt so much because he was playing like horse, you know what I mean? And he's just like, why are you, I was like, I didn't know I still could shoot.
He gotta learn. Only way to up his game, he gotta learn.
I know, but I told him, I was like, just go for aim for the square. That's all I used to do. get the backboard. I ain't do the full swoosh. Those are cool when it happens, but a lot of times I'm just aiming for that corner. So he was like, okay, aim for the corner. I was like, yeah, just aim for the corner.
It was tripped out. Like you mentioned basketball and the pandemic, when Kobe Bryant and his daughter and other individuals died in a helicopter crash, it was one of the few times where a celebrity died. It caught me off guard that it messed with me like that. Right. Oh, yeah. And the point being, so much stuff has happened since then with Breonna Taylor, with the killings, George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, COVID-19.
Yeah.
It feels like the helicopter crash, even though it's the end of the year, it felt like it happened 10 years ago, right? Yeah. So how have you been coping with this crazy year that has been 2020? 2020 has been a trip.
Ooh, yeah. I mean, isn't it interesting? Everybody was like, 2020, this gonna be my year. I'm about to blow up. I'm about to do it. And you know what? 2020 is like, it is breaking something open.
Right.
It is breaking something open, and it is extremely uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But I also feel like I'm growing quite a bit. And because you have to see yourself in a way that you've never quite seen yourself before. And also I think it's like so messed up, but also needed in a messed up way that these killings, like something we've known about this stuff for years, you know what I mean? But like, it's just like everyone, or not, maybe not everyone, but so many people are seeing it like it's the first time happening. And even though that's kind of annoying hearing those type of reactions, it's still like, wow, now there's more of us that is like feeling this and just feeling this pain, you know what I mean? Right. And so I'm just like, wow, like, I don't know if you guys watch Lovecraft Country, but
I love it. That's my joint.
They've been doing some really great art with that show and speaking to race and all types of stuff that I was just like, this is so smart and beautiful. And people are going to be into the show just because of the sci-fi element, but they're also going to be learning some stuff about what it's like to walk in our shoes. So, I mean, I think it's up and down for everybody emotionally. I'm doing my best to maintain positive energy and to keep up my self-care and to do as many Zoom hangouts or something, you know what I mean? Or social distance because if I completely stay in my apartment, because I live by myself like that, I could see myself getting really, really depressed because it's just, when you just keep seeing it over and over, it's just really, really terrifying. And even when Breonna Taylor was killed, I started getting scared for myself of just like, oh my gosh, I never even really thought of a police coming into my house and then killing me. So like, I just felt an extra level of defenselessness that I was just like, I really hate this. So I'm like happy to see the change in some ways, but it also is still really, really painful. And then I'm just feel like I'm learning a lot about myself. You know what I mean?
So let's bounce back to some theater. Tell us how you got started here in Chicago on the professional scene, because you're everywhere. And we'll get to the movies later.
But mainly theater's my thing. Mainly that's the thing. So I graduated from DePaul, University, the theater school in 2012. And I mean, them sports, because I did basketball, volleyball, track, right? those sports really, I think, I don't know, stamina was really great at that time for me. And I just was anything I could find, I was auditioning for. I had zero ego. I also had very low self-esteem, to be honest with you, too. So I was actually like trying to just combat that as well as like work as much as I can. But the thing that I found out for myself is with grad program, that's with a class of 10. And, you know, I'm included in that 10, and I actually was also the only person of color. So like for 3 years, they were seeing my failures. They were seeing me. They were seeing all this stuff. So when I got my first audition outside of them, I was like, oh my gosh, wait a second. This casting person actually doesn't know that I like had this terrible class performance or this terrible thing.
Right.
Like I literally kind of felt like I reset myself and then was able to like keep going. And I got an agent, a part of Showcase. There's the Showcase in LA, nice. New York, and Chicago, with Vanessa Talent Agency. And yeah, I just kind of was like, just auditioning like crazy, and things were happening. And I also turned a 15-minute solo show that I did from school into a full-length play or a one act. And I started performing that at Impact. And then I also just like auditioned for stuff. And yeah, it was, I graduated June 2012. And then I did my one-person show. I was understudying at Remy Bumppo as soon as I graduated, because we have, you know, my stage combat teacher was Nick Sands, and and the casting director was Linda Gillum, and she was my teacher. Right. And that necessarily played a part, but it's like they blessed me with the gig like right off the bat, and I was doing that while I was doing my one-person show. And then there was a show that Alicia was doing that she put me in the mix for. So and then I booked a show at Goodman, and I started that in January. And I think like literally it's been little things like that, like the Goodman show with Robert Falls directing me. Nice. End up being, you know, some people saw that. And actually like Aaron Todd Douglas was in that show, and I didn't realize he was also a director. And then he hired me to be in Ruined, and then Ruined was...
I saw Ruined.
So yeah. I saw Ruined. Literally, there was like stepping stones because of working with somebody that liked me enough to take me to somewhere else, that liked me enough to tell someone else about me. So that's kind of how it was going. It was like, wow, like it's the talent aspect, but it's being kind.
No doubt.
Yeah. I did not realize people wore multiple hats at the time, and I didn't, you know, the person that's giving me my water actually might be a big time producer, and I didn't know, but I was just like, thank you for the water, had a good conversation, and they referred me to do something and like for some show, and here I am now in this show because I was nice to that person that I didn't realize was like a big deal. You know what I mean? So yeah.
Ooh la la. Yeah.